A midweek matchup comes to City Stadium in Richmond, Virginia, where the Kickers are off and running in 2025. They'll take on a Union Omaha side that's feeling like they're back in form after an early championship hangover to start the season. The USL League One, presented by UCrops, is on ESPN+. Hello and welcome, I'm Ryan Lee. Thank you for joining us. And we have two very familiar opponents squaring off for the first time since the opening round of last year's playoff. That match was a 1-0 win for Omaha en route to a League One championship. The Owls have dominated the series as of late, winning 4 of the last 6 matchups with a pair of draws in between. Richmond will look to get their first win against Omaha since September of 2022. And doing so would only help the hot start of the 2025 season for the Kickers, considering the task they have up ahead. And considering what Omaha has provided, it can cause them issues. However, Richmond have been in form as of late. Third in the standings throughout 4 matches played with one of the best offenses in the league. With the most goals and second most shot attempts in March, they're matching metrics that they have not reached since 2022 when they were the top seed in USL League One. Head coach Darren Sawatzky says they're finally getting into form and they have only benefited from having the right guys in the room. One of those new pieces in the room has been our player to watch, brought to you by Kayaki, Darwin Espinal. The 30-year-old from Honduras was a finalist for Player of the Month of March after putting up a goal and 2 assists in 4 starts. They'll look towards Espinal for another top-notch performance if they want to hold off the team that won the double last year in Union Omaha. Los Bujos were the top seed in last year's regular season, which only helped in their quest towards their second USL League One title. After 3 trophies in 2 years since Dominic Casciato took over the bench, Omaha has been the model of dominance and consistency in USL League One, winning back-to-back Players' Shield, winning their second League One title in franchise history, and they look to run it back, potentially bringing more silverware in 2025. However, doing so will have to rely on a lot of the pieces that were missing from the early portions of this year, and one of those pillars that is finally returning is the man in net, the 2-time Golden Glove winner, Rashid Nuhu. After being absent from the lineup due to a lingering injury that came up at the end of last season, the franchise leader in appearances returns to the lineup for the first time since last year's League One final against Spokane. A playoff rematch gets Week 6 off and running. The Richmond Kickers and Union Omaha come to City Stadium. The USL League One, presented by UCrops, is on ESPN+. Lineups and kickoff are next.
Mi nombre es Josué Aaron Gómez y soy del Paso, Texas. Creo que significaría mucho para mí, para mi futuro. Creo que al terminar mi carrera futbolística, creo que poder implementar lo que voy a aprender en la escuela, creo que eso va a ser muy importante para mí y para mi futuro.
We choose Impossible Pups because of their enrichment activities and the fun photos they send home every day.
We choose Impossible Pups because Kendall is excited when I drop her off and she's excited when I pick her up.
My favorite part about working at Impossible Pups is that the staff here feels like family.
It's seeing new dogs come in and build long-lasting confidence.
At Impossible Pups, your dog isn't just staying at a kennel, they're staying at their home away from home.
Welcome to Royal New Kent Golf Club. Designed by world-renowned architect Mike Strantz, Royal New Kent's a one-of-a-kind Irish-style golf course located 20 minutes east of Richmond, Virginia. Royal New Kent was featured in Golf Week's top 100 public courses in the country. Hidden behind grassy knolls and hand-stacked rock walls, each hole offers several playing options to fit a wide range of abilities. Visit RoyalNewKent.com or follow us on social media for more information on tee times and rates. Remember, come to Royal New Kent Golf Club to Golf Ireland in Virginia.
We would not have a business today if it weren't for the support of the many, many people within the Richmond community. To me, we're working as a team to enhance the quality of life for all residents.
It's about being the best that you can be. It's about enriching the lives of people in your community. There's a reason why we have the tagline Nourish, because it's really about nourishing the lives of the people that work for us and the people that we serve. That's what the UCrops brand stands for.
We return here to City Stadium, where the Richmond Kickers and Union Omaha clash for the first time since last year's playoffs, where Omaha eliminated Richmond. A chance for redemption for the Kickers as they're at their home turf, as we take a look at the starting 11s. As Richmond will start things off in a 4-3-3, and Josh Kirkland will lead the forward group. The D3 All-American in his 10th League One appearance. James Vaughn gets his first start in 2025, and with Clyde Chella unavailable for selection, Guy Franca makes his first start in the center back position with Griffin Garnett. James Sneddon has started all 4 games for Union Omaha in the regular season. He's back in net once more for the Kickers. And for Union Omaha, they've made a couple changes with Ostrom and Ors Navarro, a combined 1 goal and 3 assists, both of them getting Team of the Week nominations in their match versus Tormenta. And the main piece for Union Omaha, the return of Rashid Nuhu, the 2-time Golden Glove winner, the team leader in appearances all time, and his 2025 debut comes after lingering injuries from last year. They're grateful to have number 24 back in net for Union Omaha. We make our way towards kickoff here at City Stadium as we start off in a midweek matchup. Omaha will be in white. They'll attack from left to right. And Richmond on the other end will be in the reds, right to left. They will go. Ryan Lee and the rest of our ESPN Plus crew on site at City Stadium. We thank you for joining us here on a Wednesday evening in a crisp 54-degree day, minimal winds, no sign of precipitation whatsoever, as the first verdict is made by our officiating crew in the blue. Ryan Homick is our head official. Patrick Slane and Ariel Raban are the assistant referees. Armand Beacon is our 4th official tonight. And for both of these two sides, they have a lot to build off of. For Union Omaha, it's about the back-to-back Players Shield that they won en route to their championship a year ago, and a lot of that started with a game against the Richmond Kickers that was back at their home pitch over at Werner Park. And for Richmond, it was a lot about running the table towards the latter portion of last year, despite being out of the playoff race for pretty much the entire duration of the season last year. They ran the table in the latter portion around September, where they really started getting things going. They strung off a couple of wins consecutively, especially when they made the change from James Sneddon as the permanent starter for the Kickers, and that allowed them to sneak into that 8th and final playoff spot last year. They want to keep that momentum going for this young developing squad that Darren Sawatsky has led. In the formation, James Sneddon makes the start in net after taking over in the latter portion of last season on the 29th of August in a Jägermeister Cup win against Spokane Velocity. As the Kickers want to attack the Omaha end, a nice sliding tackle made by Milanese to slow things down for Josh Kirkland, as Milanese and Kirkland continue to fight along the corner. Milanese eventually gets that one off. Long ball attempted for Richmond. This one centering. Kirkland gives it a swing, and Nuhu. Welcome back to 2025 to the 2-time Golden Glove. Rashid Nuhu gets his first save of the match and the first corner for the Richmond Kickers. This is a nice play out on the wing, and for Richmond, a lot of what they have to do to start things off is to test Nuhu. This is his first appearance since last year's final, and it only took 2.5 minutes for Nuhu to get his first test of the match. Schenfeld on the in-swinger, bobble in the box, no one able to get it except for our own Gomez, who gets it out. This one laid back all the way back for James Sneddon. Has started all 4 matches in the regular season after making 6 appearances towards the end of the season last year. He really was one of the key contributors to Richmond's run at the table at the end of 2024. However, that pass went awry, so Omaha will take the throw. Both Darren Sawatsky and James Sneddon, when we had the chance to speak to them, both just noted how Omaha can really threaten at any point throughout the match. A lot of that has to do with how direct they like to play, trying to go vertical as quickly as possible. We saw that in that last little throw-in before it was dispossessed by Omaha. And on the reversal side, Dominic Casciato and the defender, Dion Akoff, when we spoke to them, also noted that with Richmond, you can never count them out at any time. You always got to be on the lookout for the kickers as they're trying to make something work. End to end, Darwin Espinal will hold for Schenfeld. Schenfeld to cross, no one to take, held on, fires, and that one is on the outside of the frame. Goal kick for Nuhu. And kickers, players are disputing. This might actually get turned into a corner. It might have been clipped before it went out of play, as that one goes across the mouth of goal, and it looks like the home side will actually win the argument. It was a goal kick initially. Further discussions in the referee's earpieces instead reverse the verdict for a second corner for Richmond. Bit of a conversation as Chandler O'Dwyer and Brandon Knapp were a little bit too physical inside the box. That's Max Schneider and Chandler O'Dwyer who get the little conversation with the head official Ryan Homick as we're ready for the second corner for Richmond. Schenfeld again, header up in the air. Vaughn tracks, gets it down, and Omaha try to find some breathing room. They do. They go straight up the other end, but in closing was the Richmond defense as nothing could go for Charlie Ostrom. That goes out of play once again. That time last off of Chelo Martinez, so Richmond will hang on once more. And for the Richmond kickers, it's been a back and forth season for them, more or less, getting that opening win on the road against Tormenta, but then losing a close 1-0 decision against Charlotte before getting wins at home versus AV Alta, and then getting that last loss against Forward Madison in the Henny Derby was their last decision. But a lot of what happened in that Henny Derby, a lot of it really impressed Darren Sawatsky. Just a couple things not going their way necessarily, especially towards the tail end of that game, with one of the youngest rosters on the entirety of USL League One, including 8 teenagers, 4 of them on pro contracts, 4 of them on academy contracts for Darren Sawatsky. And then trying to supplement that with some of the veterans they've had. Emiliano Terzaghi, the top goal scorer in USL League One history. He is going to come off the bench at some point, most likely. And then you had the addition of 2022 League One champion Pablo Jara, mentoring James Snedden back in net. It's just kind of filling in the roster with all these young guns as Omaha looked to charge up, but it will go back against Richmond. As we go through our keys to the game, brought to you by CarMax. For Richmond, it's a lot about spreading the wealth. 6 different players have scored goals for Richmond. That's the most throughout USL League One. They want to continue that form, especially with how many guys have contributed offensively. And with Omaha, a lot of what Dominic Casciato's talked about is just about getting back into form, showing that they truly are that championship contender that they know that they have been for the last several years. And that first 3-0 shutout by Greenville was simply a blip in the radar, and it was just a bump in the road. However, the defense for Omaha will have to lock down as Richmond look to attack up across the line, but some contact made there as James Vaughn gets back on his feet. And this will be the 3rd key set piece in the Omaha end. We've already seen a pair of corners, and now this attempt from just outside the penalty area with Vaughn and Schenfeld ready for the delivery. James Vaughn making his first start of the season. Maxi Schenfeld has gone 5 for 5 on the season, match number 75 in USL League One for Schenfeld, who stands over it with a crowd at the 18. Schenfeld to the box, headed away by Omaha. And offside regardless. Union Omaha, they've been working with a lot of expectations with what they did last year, winning the double. The second time they've done so in their club history, winning the regular season, top seed with the Players' Shield, and then again with the League One title, even making the semifinals in the Jägermeister Cup before falling to the eventual champions, the Northern Colorado Hailstorm. But they look to show themselves back in form again with a tussle towards the end line. Still in the balance as Ors Navarro barely keeps that one in play. Feed into the area, unsuccessful. Having to slide back is Anderson Holt. Instead, it'll go right in front of the Richmond bench and Darren Sawatsky, so Simon Fitch can toss it in. As it comes back for Sned. And this is probably one of the rockiest early stretch of the season for the Richmond Kickers, considering that they have to go up against the team that won the double last year with a trip to Naples later, as stumbling down, getting contact, drawing the foul, Darwin Espinal, and the yellow card right out of the gate, as that will be Brent Coleman who gets booked. Espinal, he's been so dangerous in this early portion of USL League One. Just took a little bit of contact from Coleman on that run. That was an 11th minute yellow card, and this will be another set piece well in the Omaha end for Richmond. Richmond Kickers have had themselves quite a start to the season. Most shots that have beaten keepers, second most shots attempted. They have a chance to potentially beat Rashid Nuhu again with another set piece just outside the penalty area for Richmond. And a lot of the offensive metrics that have allowed the Kickers to be successful, reminiscent of that Players' Shield run back in 2022 after missing the playoffs in 2023 and just barely sneaking in a year ago. We see Schenfeld and Vaughn once more. With Schenfeld and Vaughn. Vaughn towards net, overhead. Nice shot there by James Vaughn. The attempt and the objective is very clear for Richmond, considering who is in net, not in terms of who he is, but what he's lacked in the month of March, which is playing time with Rashid Nuhu. They've already put on a couple of shots, at least 3 shot attempts already in the first 12 minutes. Only one of them hitting the net, and that was the first shot of the match, as this one has to be chased back. Garnett trying to cut off his man, and he does. Garnett trying to slide through, eventually pitching it upwards so that it can be played towards Vaughn. He takes Akoff out as Ors Navarro tries to escape, unable to with Garnett in the way. And you have the Omaha player down. That is Dion Akoff, who took contact on that last little back and forth near the center circle. It's just a loose ball. Vaughn and Akoff. Not 100% sure if Akoff even made contact with the ball, but regardless, no cards were shown, and Akoff glimpsed towards his regular position back on the wing back. And with Dion Akoff still so consistent as a 33-year-old, the Fontana, California native got a goal to open up the U.S. Open Cup match versus Des Moines Menace, the MLS All-Star retiree team in the Open Cup, and also got the goal of the week versus South Georgia Tormenta as well. A lot of that consistency and continuous production for Akoff has just been about enjoying the process and just allowing himself the freedom to go attack whenever it's needed. which is why he has offensively just been in such productive form, especially in the last couple of matches. And now he has to defend with the rest of his Owls as Schenfeld looks to work, centering for O'Dwyer. O'Dwyer goes far side looking for Bulldog, but nothing quite there as Richmond will hang on. Franca and Griffin Garnett are the two center backs. Dakota Barnathan wants to continue movement as he does. And 15 minutes in, Bon Secours brings us our injury report. None reported on either side. The good thing is for Richmond and Omaha, however, with these early portions of the season, you may see some absences. That's in large part due to a lot of these coaches still trying to figure out what the new pieces are that they have in their arsenal, with Guy Franca just trying to get back into the fray in his first start of the season. Spent parts of last season with a leg injury, so Franca's kind of been getting back in the mix of things. That puts Clyde Chella off of the squad for selection. And then for Union Omaha, a lot of them has to do with some of the shuffling they've had to do with because of some of the long-term injuries. The unprecedented long-term injuries that they've had with Lagos Kunga and Blake Malone coming out, two key guys really down the center who were so dangerous for them in that finals run last year, but they're absent in 2024 so far. As a quick turnaround try for Ores Navarro, tries to free up space. Simultaneous contact allows Martinez to settle. Chelo Martinez to center. Barnathan clips it out. And this is the first corner for Omaha. Union Omaha only 3 goals scored in their 2 matches. All three of them, came in the 3-1 win against South Georgia Tormenta, which was their last game in USL League One play. As Martinez gets ready to send, goes to the back post, scramble, and out of play. And we might be running it back, just mirror the sides. We will. So it's just going to be a little mirror there as Martinez and Knapp get ready to go in position. Martinez again, headed up and over. A nice strike there for the Owls as they look to get on the board. And Sneddon goes quick. This was a nice little corner here by Martinez. That one got Coleman as Coleman went up and over. Coleman, the longtime MLS veteran, spending 11 years in the MLS, over 125 matches played with Nashville last year and 10 seasons with Minnesota United. But came back home where he's from to Omaha, playing for his hometown club at 34 years of age. And a lot of those experienced veterans is something that Omaha really loves to really utilize, especially for the squad that is trying to win now, year in and year out. They don't just want to show that they're contenders and it's a one-off. They want to make sure that they're contending for at least one trophy every single season. And they've got 3 in the last 2. They look to continue adding to that trophy case as Charlie Ostrom is ready for the throw. Omaha from the center stripe will take over. As Martinez lays it aside for our own Gomez. Gomez, triple team in his face. Attempted center, couldn't find anyone in white. Coleman reclaims for Omaha. Martinez elevates towards Dion Akoff. Akoff to cross. Up in the air, and Sneddon has to leap to prevent Gomez from getting the touch. This was a nice little play here by Union Omaha to really threaten. Just getting bodies towards the net was something that Omaha did so well, and trying to get the experienced veteran, the 30-year-old Aaron Gomez versus the 19-year-old keeper, James Sneddon. That's certainly a battle for the netminder for Richmond. And James Sneddon has really brought his game to a new level since taking over as the starter. However, Bolduc is down after taking contact with Ostrom. And this will be a talking to for Ostrom, the 25-year-old from Richmond Beach, Washington. As we take a look at this once more, it was just kind of a back and forth. Just had body-on-body contact there, and then, oh, there it was. It was that last little outward foot that was the one that tripped up Bolduc, that had him down on the ground. It goes short. Espinal, heavy touch. Owls take over. It's a foot race. Ostrom tries to get around Garnett, but Garnett, those long strides, were able to cut off Ostrom and allow Sneddon to return to Garnett. Griffin Garnett signing a multi-year deal with the Kickers towards the tail end of 2024. Was initially committed to join the University of Washington, the Huskies, in the fall of 2025. However, the contract that he signed with the Kickers might have potentially thwarted those plans. And I'm sure that's something that Darren Sawatsky, a key piece to this puzzle for him, as they have to continue the defense. Akoff chasing, can he beat the line? Goes across, took a touch, and out of play. The deflection was made with the man streaking in. However, Ors Navarro couldn't get it through. And this was a nice feed by Gomez with Akoff just streaking down that near sideline. He had Ors Navarro open, and he had Sneddon beat. However, not on frame, and enough for Sneddon to get it out of play. And with James Sneddon, he really talked about being nervous and how in the last several years, sitting on the bench and training with the squad since he joined them in late 2023, he's really been more confident, especially as of late, just not being as nervous as when he first started off. And despite, you know, being kind of a boy amongst men, he says that every single time the opening whistle sounds, the butterflies wear away. And that poise really helped him not only take over the net for Richmond a year ago, but has held on to it since. No third goaltender, and has really beaten out Pablo Jara for that opening opportunity. As this one's sent towards Nuhu, he gets the snag easily with Garnett in the way. And that's a underrated thing that probably is not really spoken about with Union Omaha, was not just the absence of their starting netminder, but their captain as well, with Nuhu back in play, making the return since last year's final. That one's touched forward, attempting to go for Vaughn, but out of play as Richmond will take over. The USL kicks off Sunday on CBS SN. The Birmingham Legion will try to derail the fast-starting El Paso Locomotive. April 13th, at 5 p.m. Eastern on CBS SN. That'll be very interesting with what Birmingham did in terms of their personnel changes, deciding to go a different direction in terms of their managerial role. That'll be very interesting to see how Birmingham perform with a new coach at the helm on that CBS SN game next Sunday. Darren Sawatzky leads the way for the Richmond Kickers, the Coach of the Year in 2022. And with him and his counterpart, Dominic Casciato, the last 3 player shields have gone to one of those 2 men, either Dominic Casciato or Darren Sawatzky, as Casciato's side, Omaha, looks to start the attack with Aaron Gomez. Gomez, end to end, was looking for Martinez, couldn't settle down. Bulldog gets it away, but Kirkland can't beat Anderson Holt. Couldn't quite get it through the seam either, as Richmond just looked to escape their own end. Franca will elevate as it's a foot race for Espinal. Espinal works on Coleman. Espinal for Schenfeld. Schenfeld towards the center. That last goes off of Milaneses, so it's a Richmond corner. Maxi Schenfeld, he's been so reliable for this Richmond squad since coming in last year. 89, now 90 career matches played as a professional is Schenfeld at 32 years old from Chile. However, they want to switch things up, giving James Vaughn the chance to serve. Vaughn into the box, off the head of Coleman. Akoff to finish it off, but is it out of play? No, it's not. Eventually, it's off the line, but still kept in by Richmond. Can't quite get it away is Griffin Garnett as he works with Barnathan. Here goes Bulldog on Akoff, centering feed as Nuhu smothers. Just a back and forth. You can see all the bodies on that corner before the attempt was made towards Nuhu. This is most certainly going to be a physical battle. We've already seen several fouls at this point. Nothing too egregious. You did have the single yellow card on Coleman. Already 9 combined fouls in only 27 minutes. So it kind of speaks to the physicality of these two, and you already see a little bit of that chirping too with Milanese telling the home side, Richmond, to back off as Dominic Casciato looks onward to his side. Back-to-back players shields as the regular season champions. Back-to-back League One Coach of the Years for Dominic Casciato as well. And we mentioned that the last 3 player shields have gone to one of those 2 men, Sawatzky or Casciato. If you want to extend that 1 more year, each of the last 4 player shields have gone to either Union Omaha or the Richmond Kickers. So it speaks to the overall dynamic of this matchup between the Owls and the Kickers in terms of how well they've done organizationally, the sustainability that they've had, how their models have worked for them in their own way. And they just want to continue to build onward. It is Omaha as they attempt to enter. Dakota Barnathan with a spinorama try, and will last clip off of an Omaha player, so it will be Richmond's from here. Schenfeld has to settle after Snedden gave it away. Couldn't quite hit Espinal. Akoff escapes the double team. Now another as Vaughn came in to block the pass. Akoff again as Schneider will retreat. Chance for Omaha to start the breakout as they enter, cross into the area. Too much, as they were looking for the man on the near post. That was Gomez, the intended target. But this might have gone across the mouth of goal and all the way out the other end for a throw-in. It is. Half an hour, no score to speak of. Combined 5 shot attempts, only 1 on net. That was the first shot of the game by Richmond, where Rashid Nuhu had to make his first save since last year's final. Kirkland to settle. A chance to start something for Simon Fitch. Fitch wants to direct traffic with Bulldog, instead turns around where Garnett is back. Alongside Franca. Two teams at 500 to start off their season, with Richmond at 2-2, Omaha at 1-1. Milanese goes down and allows Omaha the chance to get pretty much their first set piece. They got a corner earlier too, but this is really the first foul in the realm of play that was well in the Richmond end in favor of Omaha. Select is proud to be the official matchball supplier of the USL Championship. From the Academy to the big leagues, Select is there every step of the way. Visit us.select-sport.com for the latest Select product specials and more. Select, the player's choice. And the choice here for Bulldog is to reverse and lay it back for Fitch. Franca for Schenfeld. Just barely kept in play as Akoff let them fly past him. Martinez scraps with Espinal, and a takedown there as Knapp hits the deck. Brandon Knapp, about a week and a half from his 25th birthday, a Maryland native from St. John's University, in his second season with Union Omaha, his second professional season as well since being a 4-year captain at St. John's. He was the one who drew contact and allows Max Schneider to make his decision just outside the penalty box 32 minutes in. With Schneider and Martinez. Schneider towards net! Kissed the crossbar, out of play, goal kick Richmond. Inches away from the opening goal for Union Omaha. Schneider went for net, and the big question is, did that hit Sneddon in the palm? It did not. That was crossbar and out. As Sneddon is ready to take this goal kick, and Sneddon, a very interesting lad off the pitch. He's studying analytics at Bellevue University online as a part of continuous education off of the pitch, and Sneddon is a self-described analytics nerd. So whenever he goes into some of his goaltending tape, it's a lot about finding an objective view of what works best for him with the analytics and adding the context with the tape and kind of getting a complete picture of his performances. Not just his performances, but his teams, as that one did not go as intended. And with Sneddon, it was all about being input-oriented, focusing on the details that he can focus on. And when you kind of add tape with the analytics and kind of marrying the two together, he said it gives the most complete picture in terms of how he's doing individually and how it impacts the overall team success. As his Richmond kicker side have to defend against a building Omaha attack. Play on, says the official. Baldock. Up the boundary, O'Dwyer. Lays it back, Dakota Barnathan. Close call there as he had 2 owls in his face. As Richmond reset, 10 minutes to the end of the first half. A slip there for Garnett. Bit of a bobble there. And it graciously deflects back to Shenfield. Long ball attempted. Kirkland out of reach. Nuhu will hang on. And with Richmond, they've really had one of the most condensed early portions of the season of everyone in USL League One. If you include today's match versus Omaha, this 5th match will be the most across the USL League One, tying only FC Naples, who have also played 5 matches so far. However, Naples will see a visit from Union Omaha this coming Saturday. And what a test that's going to be for the Kickers, with last year's winner of the double, as well as the current top team in the table with Naples. And we have a man down on the pitch after that last sequence. As O'Dwyer gets worked on. Chandler O'Dwyer, 26 years old, from England, played with Division II's Christian Brothers University, and he has really been a staple with this Richmond Kicker squad since joining 4 seasons ago back in 2022, coming off of 2 seasons with Division II's Christian Brothers after transferring from UMass, where he made his impact felt as the 2021 Gulf South Conference Offensive Player of the Year, playing in his 53rd regular season match with the Kickers. Predominantly listed as a striker, plays a lot in the midfield. You can really see him maximizing his efficiency, especially when it comes to those set pieces. You'll see him get deflections, you'll see him get headers quite a bit. A 2-time Team of the Week already in 2025 in weeks 1 and 3, where he produced goals against Tormenta and AV Alta. Yes, he's back on his feet after getting looked at by the trainers. And it looks like they might just give one more examination to O'Dwyer before he makes his return to the pitch. O'Dwyer back on the pitch, lays this one back for Garnett, but could not save it off the line. Snedden launches towards the center stripe. Whistle goes against Omaha in right at center, so they will take over. Get to see a goal with about 6.5 minutes till the end of the half. Omaha will get the throw near the corner flag with Ostrom ready to take this one off the sideline. Trying to wiggle loose, but cannot quite do so, and smashing into the boards was Ors Navarro. And this kind of speaks to the point that we made earlier about how feisty these two get with one another. Dakota Barnathan and Ors Navarro, they just continued the fight for the ball into the boards. Nothing malicious, just kind of the overextension of the on-field battle. Richmond trying to escape their own half. Walled off by Schneider, allows Knapp to get it out. Ostrom. Martinez allows his side to regroup with Milanese and Coleman. Akoff lays it off. Martinez wanted our own Gomez, couldn't get it there. Kirkland was streaking, but it's Schneider instead at the center circle. This is the 13th match between Omaha and Richmond. Richmond have not had a good run in this series as of late. They did when it first started off from 2020 to 2022. They really dominated the series with 3 wins versus Omaha's 1 with a pair of draws. But ever since the flip to the 2023 portion of the season, it's kind of been all Omaha in this head-to-head with 4 wins and 2 draws. Richmond has not won since that last game back in September 15th of 2022 in a 3-2 victory for the Kickers, as this one sent towards net. Nuhu with the dive, but out of play. And they'll say Nuhu actually got a touch on it, so this is going to be called a Richmond corner with the man down for the Kickers. So the scrap there as Bulldog gets it free for O'Dwyer. O'Dwyer let it rip. It actually wasn't Nuhu that it went off of, actually the defender in front, but regardless, this will be another corner for Richmond, as you see Matt Bulldog limping a little and back on the squat, trying to stretch something out. In front of a raucous River City Red Army, Maxi Schoenfeld takes the 4th corner for Richmond in the half. 3 to halftime. Schoenfeld into the area, loose ball, and that will go against Richmond. Omaha to distribute. Some nice service here by Schoenfeld, got some nice spin on it. But you saw the player at the very end go down. That was Coleman, who took some contact in an entanglement with one of the Kickers, which was the cause for the whistle. And Dominic Casciato really talked about emphasizing the defense in the box, especially when it came to the set plays. And having already taken so many of them, a couple of free kicks, 4 corners in the first half, that could potentially draw paramount when this game gets closer to its end. And especially because with Union Omaha, they have a very tough task ahead of them with what they've got coming up on the docket. An Open Cup match versus San Antonio of the USL Championship. A team in San Antonio that was the only team in the USL Championship to start off with 4 wins in their first 4 games. And then against New Mexico, in New Mexico from the USL Championship in the opening round of the Jägermeister Cup. Garnett gives a nice little two-handed shove from behind to Aaron Gomez. Chelo Martinez to serve, headed out of play by Franca, still alive. Knapp around Schenfeld to center, blocked out by Richmond. Schneider tracks back. Akoff. Akoff's got Schneider, that's where he'll go. Schneider to chip it in, clipped out by Garnett. And cleared out by Richmond as allows Kirkland to step on the gas. Kirkland works on Ostrom. Has to settle, awaits numbers. Josh Kirkland, saved by Nuhu. As the video board flashes for 4 minutes of stoppage time, Nuhu will be patient before he picks this one up. And we saw Josh Kirkland go there in his 10th match in USL League One after signing right before the roster freeze last year in September, getting his first pro contract for the 2022 second-team All-American in the NCAA Division III. Now it's a chance for Ors Navarro, tries to go towards net, had Schenfeld in the way, and Schenfeld with the touch and allows Omaha to take the corner. Actually a long throw and just barely escaped the flag. The return to Akoff. Garnett the only one there. Holt to settle. Holt! Holt! Too much power as he made the long try at net. And Omaha still struggling to find a shot within the frame as Holt. Nice job shaking away O'Dwyer there. And based off that tight look, that could have potentially been an argument for a corner, the way it kind of arced a little bit. But Omaha still yet to really test James Sneddon. No shots on target, only one that hit the pipe. That was off of the free kick from Schneider. As we are past 2 minutes of 4. Akoff. Ors Navarro just got yanked from behind and bodied off by Franca as he buys some space to give Espinal a run. Darwin Espinal holds on with Coleman in his face, so it is laid off for Ors Navarro. Schneider, Ors Navarro, fumble there. Espinal goes down, draws the foul, and Richmond will take over from here. Omaha very aware of what this Richmond team can do, just making sure that they don't ignore the quality that Richmond has in terms of their individual guys and in terms of how well Darren Sawatsky runs the operation. And it was pretty much the exact same sentiment from Darren Sawatsky and what Union Omaha brings to the table. A lot of mutual respect for these two sides, which is why they battled so many times, so tight. 3 of 4 have been within 1 goal. Can the first goal be here? Ors Navarro! Outside netting on the attempt at net. And once again, Omaha still not a shot on target. Where's Navarro? Had Schoenfeld beat, had that been maybe another 5 yards, that could have been a breakaway for him. But that last shot will be it in terms of what we've got going on in the first half of play. Nuhu and Sneddon have been perfect, and adjustments, I'm sure both coaches will have plenty when they come back from the intermission. 45 minutes have been played, a lot of action, a lot of physicalities, however, no goals to speak of. More from the USL and League One when we come back.
Health. Suddenly that word seems more important these days, as it's consumed all aspects of our lives and made our universes feel smaller than ever. But at Bon Secours, your health has always been our top priority, and we're staying as committed as always to personalizing the right care for you. Because whether here or from home, we believe your health care should always revolve around you. Bon Secours, primary care for the universe of you. Visit bonsecours.com/primary care to connect with a provider today.
We would not have a business today if it weren't for the support of the many, many people within the Richmond community. To me, we're working as a team to enhance the quality of life for all residents.
It's about being the best that you can be. It's about enriching the lives of people in your community. There's a reason why we have the tagline Nourish, because it's really about nourishing the lives of the people that work for us and the people that we serve. That's what the UCrops brand stands for.
This just in, Union Omaha Soccer is back, and the Owls are kicking off the new season here at Werner Park. Whether it's the heart-stopping action, delicious concessions, or your Owls, the 2024 USL League One champions electrify the pitch. Ring in the new season with the defending champions on Saturday, May 10th, as we celebrate our 5th trophy in club history. You don't just watch the action, you are the action, and we can't wait to see you. One city, one club. One means all.
We make our way back to City Stadium, where we are scoreless across 45 minutes of play. That doesn't mean that game is without any action, and we don't just look behind, but we also look ahead to what Richmond and Omaha have coming up in their respective schedules. We start off with the Richmond Kickers. As we mentioned, they played the #1 team in the standings from last year, Union Omaha, today, versus the #1 team in this year's standings in FC Naples with their first trip down in Southwest Florida. A chance at Westchester before playing against Louisville City of the USL Championship, the team that pretty much dominated the table last year in the USL Championship, before taking trips to Greenville before hosting the Red Wolves towards the middle part of May. It's a lot of back and forth between what Richmond's got in terms of the travel schedule, but also Jägermeister Cup on the horizon as well, with them going against Louisville City towards that final weekend in April. That most certainly is going to be a great matchup between two of the longest tenured clubs in the USL Championship and USL League One respectively. That is most certainly going to be a great way to kick off the Jägermeister Cup in the latter portion of April. However, for Union Omaha, they've still got another competition to think of as well, because they're still alive in the US Open Cup. They go up against New Mexico against the USL Championship side in the Jägermeister Cup, but before then, they have to go over to the University of Nebraska Omaha at Caniglia Field to play San Antonio in the US Open Cup on the 15th before playing in the opener on the Jägermeister Cup. trips to Madison with visits to Portland and Texoma, with Naples on the round as well. That May 10th game against Portland Hearts of Pine, not only the first chance to see the side from Maine, but also the first home game for Union Omaha back at Werner Park. They've had some issues with their home stadium, which is why they've not played at Werner Park. Also why the Open Cup game is being played in the University of Nebraska Omaha instead of Werner Park as well. So that'll be a great return for the Parliament and for Los Bujos coming home. More from the USL and League One in a 0-0 game when we come back.
Bringing you inside the USL Championship and League One. Diving into all the biggest stories and top headlines. This is USL All Access with Mike Watts and Devin Kerr.
Success doesn't come easy. It takes grit, hustle, and relentless effort. Every step forward brings you closer to greatness. This is your moment. Elevate your game. El Jimador Spiked Bebidas.
Whoa, termites can eat a pound of wood a day. Pound of wood a day.
Pound of wood a day. Pound of wood a day.
What's wrong, Daddy? Daddy? You okay?
Keep termites out of your home and your head with our premium guarantee that covers up to $250,000 in new termite damage. Before panic shows up, Terminix it.
Pain doesn't care who you are or why you hurt, but pain can be mastered if you know the way. Fight back with Tiger Balm's legendary herbal power. Trusted for over 100 years, our proven blend of camphor, menthol, and essential oils tames pain with the strength and speed of the tiger, so that you can rise above pain and get back to living. This is the way of the tiger.
Back here once more at Sadie Stadium, where the Richmond Kickers and Union Omaha are scoreless after 45 minutes of play. However, despite the scoreline, there's been plenty of action in this match and plenty going on around the USL and League One as we come across our USL news and notes. Well, Naples, with the 3-0 win against Texoma, has only extended the club's unbeaten run to start the standings. They are only 3 results away from breaking the mark set by Union Omaha back in 2020. AV Alta got its first win in league play with their sellout crowd in a 2-0 victory over Westchester. A couple expansions clubs have gone head-to-head against one another, and some of them, including a couple others, have made their way into the 3rd round of the US Open Cup. 9 League One clubs will play in the 3rd round of the longest standing American soccer tournament. That is actually a League One record, having 9 teams in the 3rd round of the Open Cup. 5 of them will host, one of them none other than Union Omaha over at Caniglia Field on the 15th. As we also go through what is on the docket for the USL League One in terms of the upcoming matches, with a couple of expansion sides meeting some old classics, with Portland getting a visit from Tormenta. Spokane will go up against Texoma. We mentioned how Richmond will head to Southwest Florida to go up against Naples. AV Alta, we just talked about how they hosted their first home match and won, and they'll get a chance to do so again against a Chattanooga Red Wolves side. Only draws to start off 2025, and a couple of classics in the USL League One going at a couple of the OGs with the Charlotte Independence and Forward Madison. That's also a first-round playoff matchup where the Mingos beat the Jacks. There's a chance for the Jacks to take redemption back at American Legion Memorial Stadium on Friday. A heavy docket on the weekends in USL League One, and we cannot talk about what's coming up without talking about how things have progressed so far. Richmond Kickers, as we mentioned at the Open, they currently sit at number 3 in the USL League One standings, and Union Omaha in a very rare position, currently outside of the playoff line. However, there is only 2 games played on their schedule. They have played, going into the weekend, the fewest games across the entirety of USL League One. Richmond, if you include today's game, tied for Naples with the most games played in the league, and they'll actually go up against each other. So when the weekend is over, both Naples and Richmond will have played 6 games apiece. A heavy workload for both the Kickers and Naples to start off the season. More from the USL League One and our match here at City Stadium. 0-0 after 45, next 45 when we come back.
SeatGeek is the ticketing app for fans like the high five strangers got, game-winning interception, first down, just a nice solid tackle. If you're in arm's length, you will be swapping skin with this extrovert. You see, he knows SeatGeek got him a great deal on tickets, so he can focus on what he does best, smacking palms. SeatGeek handles the tickets to sports, concerts, and more, so fans can fan.
Hey, I'm Muath. Welcome to the Confident Barber Show. Come on in.
Suddenly, that word seems more important these days, as it's consumed all aspects of our lives and made our universes feel smaller than ever. But at Bon Secours, your health has always been our top priority, and we're staying as committed as always to personalizing the right care for you. Because whether here or from home, we believe your health care should always revolve around you. Bon Secours, primary care for the universe of you. Visit bonsecours.com/primary care to connect with a provider today.
For the final time, for halftime, we come back to City Stadium in a scoreless draw between Richmond and Union Omaha. And even though there's nothing on the scoreline, there's been plenty in terms of the happenings in the first 45 minutes as we take a look at our highlights from the first half of play. And both these two sides, it's been a very tight series to say the least. And a little bit of congratulations there with Dakota Barnathan accepting the return of Rashid Nuhu after spending injury out with the first month of the season. And Richmond got off the gate out and running. This quick deflection by Kirkland had to be swatted away by Nuhu only about a minute plus into the match, reintroducing Nuhu to the 2025 season. But Union Omaha would have a couple of counter punches themselves. This chance by Akoff was held on by Sneddon before the cross could come for Aaron Gomez. And for the 19-year-old lad, he'd have a lot of opportunities towards him, but none of them even hitting the frame as that cross, deflected by Ors Navarro, would come out. Sneddon continuing to bark out the instructions that he would face this free kick, missed the palm, hits the iron, and eventually deflects out of play. Omaha would not get the plea for the deflection in the corner, but James Sneddon has been so sharp for large chunks of this year as he took over the net last year. And Josh Kirkland trying to test Rashid Nuhu again. Got the first shot on target and got the latest before Nuhu would eventually get himself back. As we make our way back towards the pitch where Union Omaha and the Richmond Kickers make their final preparations before restarting for the second set of 45. Both sides in the one match where they scored first, they did come out on the winning end, and with the way that these two teams have played defensively, the physicality that's been involved, and how stingy both teams have been in terms of those one-on-one duels, especially towards the sideline, any of the four sides really.
Your attention please, substitutions at the half.
And for Union Omaha, Dominic Casciato already reaching into the substitutions with Joe Gallardo getting ready to enter the match as he trots along to replace Sergio Ors Navarro, the 24-year-old Spaniard. Joe Gallardo, good to see him. Good to see his actual face again, as he spent the last little portion of the season with a fractured orbital bone in his face, so he was wearing a mask for a little bit of time. So good to see Joe Gallardo maskless coming off the bench as we get the second half of play started from City Stadium. Omaha will go right to left in the white, Richmond left to right in the red. Ryan Lee and the rest of our ESPN Plus crew, we thank you so much for joining us here at Richmond, Virginia in City Stadium for a clash that is a rematch of last year's playoffs. The first of 3 wins that Omaha would claim before lifting the trophy when it was all said and done, as Dion Akoff works that far sideline on Schenfeld. Akoff steps on the gas, goes for the cross, headed on, and Sneddon makes a beautiful stop. Great save made by Sneddon to keep this game scoreless, as Akoff right out of the gate got the header he wanted from Gomez, and Sneddon, ooh, with the way that rolled off of his body on the dive, that could have been disastrous for Sneddon, but just enough of the body awareness and the dexterity to keep that one out. As this one sent deep, a chance for the long run by Bulldog as it gets played back from Coleman to Nuhu. Imagine if that one actually somehow got across Sneddon, but now it's a chance for Richmond to counterpunch. Espinal gets across his man. Espinal from distance took a clip out of play. Corner for Richmond as they tend to the man down. Espinal just got some work there and took a bit of a, it was that second deflection when Espinal was trying to do his little spinorama try at Milanese. Milanese got the block on the first little dribble there from Espinal to force the shot, but took some contact afterward. Milanese gets back in as only about 2 minutes deep in the second half, we already have the first corner. Vaughn to serve and right to Nuhu. The captain claims it cleanly as he dishes out to Holt. Holt wants to go deep. Aaron Gomez. High slipped as he tried to step back. As Garnett and Sneddon, 2 of the real key young guns of Darren Sawaski's side, combined there. And Griffin Garnett had a lot of interest from other places, but he's got to defend as Omaha want to leave it. Knapp from deep, and that one is Sneddon swatting it down again. As Knapp gave it a go from deep. Holt tries to chase after it to prevent the opportunity for Bulldog. And Matt Bolduc, what a journey he's had. This is game number 101 with the Richmond Kickers, 75 in the USL League One. He spent 6 seasons with the Kickers between 2017 and 2022. However, it was an opportunity to come back to Richmond after not playing professionally at all last year. And after that 2022 season where the Kickers won the Players' Shield, Bolduc did not stay with the Kickers. He instead went to Nisa to play with Flower City and made his return with the Kickers this season. Chance to cross into the box. Cleared out by Richmond, held on by Omaha. Another chance in the area, a bobble, a send it. A send out, Kirkland on Milanese. Milanese is there first as Coleman claims it back. Espinal wiggles past a few. Simon Fitch steps in. Fitch on hold. Bolduc towards the area, too tall, as that was an attempt for O'Dwyer. And Martinez will buy some breathing room for Omaha. Slip there in favor of Omaha. However, they're trying to claim might have been a jersey tug on Schneider. Soccer season is here, and SeatGeek is the official ticketing partner of the USL. Get all your tickets from the USL and more from the #1 ticketing site, SeatGeek. Your ticket to great seats. City Stadium in Richmond, Virginia. The Kickers and Union Omaha neither have gotten past Sneddon or Newhu. Ryan Lee and the rest of our ESPN Plus crew, we thank you so much for joining us here on this Wednesday matchup. Both teams have a chance to break 500. Richmond 1-1 in regular season play. Richmond 2-2. As Akoff tries to slide past. And another service deep. Gomez and Akoff there, neither able to possess, so it's Schenfeld. Tries to get away. Dwyer, wanted Espinal. Still juggling, no one gets it cleanly. Akoff with a touch. Franca comes in, Schneider looks to escape. And that last run off of Schneider. And Schneider not very happy about the verdict from our officiating crew. And there will be back-to-back possessions off the whistle for Richmond. If you date back to the US Open Cup match versus the Virginia Dream of the NPSL, this is the 4th of 4 consecutive home matchups for the Kickers before they head down to Southwest Florida to go against Naples on Saturday. And this 4-game homestand has been a relatively good one for Richmond as they want to work with Bolduc and Fitch. Fitch's wife, Susanna Fitch, captain of the DC Power, they played yesterday as well, so it's kind of been a busy week for the Fitch family with Mitch today as he gets the reception from Bolduc. Fitch, back to Bolduc! Gave it a go, but out of play as Bolduc wanted to get his first goal since returning to Richmond. As Bolduc nicely through the legs of Ostrem to find Fitch in the first place. And And then you had Bulldog. He had the right idea in mind, just going towards net, but good news for Richmond is they've been able to get balls towards Rashid Nuhu, but haven't had any on target since the start of the half. Fitch escapes the double team, tries to send it through, but it will be a stoppage in play as we have the man down. That's Gallardo, who is the substitute. And just Fitch and Gallardo working against each other. I don't know if that was necessarily deliberate. That might have just been some inadvertent contact, as Fitch was just trying to get positioning on Gallardo. Gallardo coming on at the half, the 27-year-old from San Diego. In his 3rd season with Union Omaha, he is in his 49th match with Los Bujos. And that's after spending about 3 seasons in Liga MX and made his way to MLS Next Pro with the Real Monarchs. Or in the USL with the Real Monarchs, pardon. And that was after his tenure with Richmond back in 2019, where he played in 25 matches and held career highs in both goals and goal contributions in a single season. Has not matched his numbers since that 2019 campaign with Richmond is Gallardo. But that foul on Gallardo will allow Nuhu to send this one. Returns to play after spending a short stint on the bench to get evaluated after that last little bit of contact. And overall, in terms of the timeline of play, 10 minutes into this half, only the 1 yellow card to Brent Coleman back at the 11th, and the substitution from Navarro to Gallardo at halftime. That's been it. Akoff wants to center, left back. Akoff looking for a lane. Holt. Turned over as Richmond will reverse course. And it's a deep ball looking for Kirkland, but it's back for Nuhu instead as Coleman works to block off Kirkland. The last 4 matchups between these two have been 1-goal games. However, 4 of the last 6 have been Omaha wins. The other 2 were draws. And the last time these two played in the regular season was in the early portion of October, where it was 0-0 when it was said and done. And that was also here at City Stadium. Funk on that last little exchange got a yellow card for himself, so that puts at least 1 member on both squads in the book. But still, in terms of the timeline, only the 2 yellow cards and the substitution to speak of. We've had a multitude of shot attempts, but only only 2 on target per side. Both of the 2 shots on net for Richmond came in the first half. Both of Omaha's shot on net have been in the second half. That one went off the face of Fitch. It's a live ball. Gomez couldn't get free, and he bangs into Barnathan. And this will cause a stoppage in play, so Richmond can send the free kick off after Barnathan goes down. That was just inadvertently off of Fitch's face, but right there, as Barnathan was trying to escape a little bit, might have gone leg on leg a little bit with Gomez based on the way that Barnathan grabbed onto his leg after the contact was made. And we got another visit from the training staff of Richmond. And keep in mind for Richmond, they didn't necessarily have the most ideal preseason training. A lot of that was due to the preseason training window being about 2 weeks earlier than it normally was. And for a lot of these teams, maybe if you're Tormenta or AV Alta or maybe even Charlotte, any of these teams that are further down south, it's not a big deal. But for Richmond, it was tough sledding for them to get into some training because they had a whole lot of snow coming in. There was a lot of winter storms coming in the winter, and that really hampered their ability to even get proper training in the preseason. So because of that, they were not on the pitch as much. They had to focus more on the weight room and in terms of what they could do inside, a lot of working in the gym. And Darren Sawatsky said that even though it is nice to have, and they did have a contingency plan in place, it's not the same as what's done on the pitch. And because of that, the lack of preseason training, a lot of these guys are just finally starting to get into form, and we've seen a lot of the long stoppages in play with the training crew come on, go against Richmond's side. We saw it with Chandler O'Dwyer a couple minutes ago. Dakota Barnathan wears the captain's armband. Now, as we take one more look at what happened there, Gomez was able to slip past his man, but oh, you can see it. Gomez just steps on that high ankle of Barnathan. It wasn't inadvertent, that just looked more like an awkward landing as Barnathan limps his way to the sideline. Walks gingerly, but he is working through it. And there are most certainly some possible reinforcements for Richmond that they can reach into if they want to go that direction. With guys like Adrian Bilhard and Emiliano Terzaghi on the bench. We've seen one change for Dominic Casciato. Now the question for Darren Sawatsky is when will he reach into the reinforcements? As this one's fed into the area, a slip down, held on by Bolduc. Bolduc with a try, blocked in front. As that one's cleared away by Ostrom. Garnett comes in. Ostrom gets it out for Omaha, and this we play back as Barnathan returns to the pitch and will send this up as he looks for Kirkland. Offside was Kirkland. Too fast was Omaha, so Milanese has to try again. Slip there for Brandon Knapp, and his Omaha side will come back on the attack. Union Omaha, we mentioned it before, only 2 games in the regular season, 2 games in the Open Cup to start off their season. And despite going up against the Des Moines Menace side that was largely the MLS retirees, Dominic Casciato thought that overall they were flying and that they were able to overcome the overall quality, that they still hurt Omaha at times as the quality of Richmond almost beat them there. But it definitely was a confidence builder, especially with the early adversity, dealing with a red card in that game early on. and even getting a penalty drawn because of some of the issues that the overall MLS quality had for Des Moines Menace, despite maybe being a little bit past their prime. A feed into the area is loose. Stepping in is Oström. Oström to center, Sned into snag. Bullock back for Fitch. That one cycled all the way around from wing back to wing back as Fitch allowed Garnett and Franca to get around for Schenfeld. This one is elevated. Oström easily towards Nuhu. Can't watch the match? Turn on Sirius XMFC 157, North America's only 24/7 source for engaging soccer talk, including USL All Access on Tuesday nights, plus your live matches from the USL, MLS, Premier League, and more, all on Sirius XMFC 157 and the new Sirius XM app. Scrap at center allows Chelo Martinez to take over. Coleman wanted Knapp, deflects towards Akoff. Omaha's looking for the run forward, and there it is, Joe Gallardo, he's got a lane. Gallardo steps on the gas, looks for options. Brendan Knapp and Akoff occupy the far side as we're 20 minutes into the half. Akoff. Served into the area, but out of play. And Snedden will send this one off again. As we get ready for substitutes on both ends of the pitch, with Jonathan Canagua, with Mark Bronick coming into the match in place of Chelo Martinez, as we have a pair of public substitutions. We saw Adrian Billhart on the sideline as well, as Emilian Terzaghi and Adrian Billhart get ready to come into play. And we might be waiting a little bit before Terzaghi and Billhart come in, but they are on deck. So the lone substitution that is confirmed as of right now is Mark Bronick for Chelo Martinez in the 66th. And now we will officially see Terzaghi and Kirkland coming in, with Chandler O'Dwyer on an exit, as well as Matt Bullock, who will pop a squat for the rest of this match.
Your attention, please. Public substitutions in the 60th.
Adrian Billhart making his 20th regular season appearance with Union Omaha, and Terzaghi comes in on year number 6 with the Richmond Kickers. The longtime storied veteran for the Richmond Kickers, who has pretty much transformed the record books in USL League One. First touch made by Billhart. There are the fresh legs. Billhart drops it back. He's got Espinal. Espinal towards net. Nuhu easily there. That might have taken a touch on the way. Might have taken a touch on the way before Nuhu gets the grab. And it didn't take very long for Billhart to make his presence felt had the goal of the year last year, can really shoot it whenever needed, but also has done a great job distributing last year as being pretty much the #1 offensive catalyst last year with Terzaghi out for large parts of the year due to the hand injury. As Schenfeld slides off to stall Akoff's process. So when you combine it all, you've got 2 subs aside after that last little double sub by Coach Sawatsky. Settled down, that one's towards net, and that one's wide. Just by a hair, a shot with all the power in the world, but it missed the net. And a goal kick upcoming for James Sneddon. Nice chest down and ripper there from Mark Bronick to make his presence felt to start his short tenure in this game. You know, Bronick really had his hero moment in last year's US Open Cup where he scored the game-winning penalty in a cup set in the Open Cup against El Paso Locomotive to seal Omaha's chance into the next round of the Open Cup from a year ago. And he's really had his role increase as the time has gone on. Is Bronick. Only 3 games played in its entirety a year ago, and already in his 3rd appearance this year. And also includes 3 appearances across the 2 cup competitions last year with the Open Cup and the Jägermeister Cup. Adrian Billhart for Fitch, centering attempt, wanted Vaughn, still in play. Billhart to scrap, Terzaghi in front, Billhart towards net, Nuhu settles it down. This Richmond offense has unlocked a new level since Billhart has come into the match already. It hasn't taken long for him to make his impact felt right out of the gate. Already a shot and 1 on net as Milanese is struggling to get back to his feet. Just got tangled with Terzaghi as they were both tracking that ball in the air. We've seen a lot of those plays as well where just 2 guys are going for a ball and they make contact. You see a guy maybe go down for a relatively prolonged period of time, but nothing severe. Already 10 fouls per side at this point in the match as Omaha want to take that stoppage and turn it into something. Ostrom from Knapp, back to Knapp. Knapp in the area, bobble in the air. Bronick can't settle. Out of the defensive end, Adrian Billhart, fresh legs. Tries to work on Holt with Ostrom. Barnathan out wide as Schenfeld leaves it for Espinal. Espinal to Barnathan. Barnathan shoots and misses. Under 20 minutes to go in regulation. These guys are going for broke. Dakota Barnathan, nice settle down there. Was able to split the 2 defenders of Omaha. However, it just got a little too much curl on that to get past that right post of Rashid Nuhu's net. And Omaha want to build their way up the pitch once again. That sequence from that Tormenta game was something that a lot of people across the entire USL took note of, as did Griffin Garnett to break it up. Espinal, Terzaghi, Billhart aside. That's where he goes. Billhart swarmed from behind by Ostrom. Billhart looks for options, leaves it. Vaughn. Fitch alongside. 74th minute, no goals. Richmond look to attack. Vaughn distributes into the box. Up in the air from Kirkland and out of the box from Omaha, but kept in as Espinal slips, allows Omaha to reverse. Chugging along is Gomez, beats out Vaughn. Schneider couldn't get past Barnathan there as Holt hangs on with Ostrom alongside. A lot of the metrics, even if you go half by half, they've been pretty much level across the board between Omaha and Richmond. In terms of possession, in terms of shots, touches in the final third, it's been pretty much right down the middle. As Coleman will let that one flutter out of play for Rashid Nuhu goal kick. And Omaha just want to do today what they did so well against Tormenta, a game that Dominic Casciato categorized as one where we just executed the plays perfectly and were dominant both with and without the ball. Especially trying to rebound from a game against Greenville where even though a lot of the metrics were in Omaha's favor, the scoreline ended in Greenville's favor, and it was one where Casciato said uncharacteristically, we were shaken up after Greenville took it to us over at Paladin Stadium on the campus of Furman. It's a foot race, couldn't get through. Franca was first as he beat out Bronick, still alive, as Schenfeld will give Omaha the throw. Franca out towards Billhart. Scoops it along, wants Terzaghi. Terzaghi in a fight with Milanese. Barnathan keeps it in play. Coleman cuts it off. As Akoff sends it for Gallardo. Schenfeld to intervene. Anderson for Josh Kirkland was the substitution at the 77th minute for Richmond. And Hayden Anderson, his second year professionally after spending last year with the Greenville Triumph, coming from University of Memphis where he was a second team All-Big South. Replacing the Division III product Josh Kirkland, and a lot of these guys on Darren Sawatsky's squad coming off of the NCAA as there's a booking right at the end of the little entanglement.
A yellow card caution has been issued to Omaha number 18, Mark Bronick, in the 78th minute.
So Bronick, substituted only about 10 minutes ago, gets the yellow. USL Championship and League One are on CBS Sports and ESPN platforms all season long. Catch live matches and expert analysis every day on the CBS Sports Golazo Network and ESPN+. Go to the USLChampionship.com or USLLeague1.com for the complete USL TV listings. Gomez tries to escape Bill Hart and Fitch. Stuck in the area. But they say that Omaha was the aggressor and that Richmond can take over from here. Three of the last 4 games between these two have been 1-goal affairs. And the only game that was not, that was a 3-0 win back in August, back at Warner Park, where Omaha got the victory. And the last time these two squared off in the regular season here at City Stadium, it was a 0-0 draw. Where we stand right now is it's up the seam. Terzaghi taken down, but the ball too held in by Fitch. Who did that go off of last? They say it was Richmond, and with Fitch. Just gotta walk it back before getting throw in as he elects for Vaughn. Schenfeld up the gut, wanted it. Bronick cuts it off, and Gomez lets Bronick go free. Garnett had to step in. Schenfeld battles off Gomez. And Gomez, too much there, so it will be Richmond to take over as he knocked Schenfeld over. As we enter the final 10 minutes of play. Neither squad has had a clean sheet yet this season. However, both teams have gotten shut out at least once this season, both of them resulting in losses. Richmond in Charlotte and Omaha to open the season in Greenville. As Terzaghi lays it back towards Fitch. Fitch steps in on Ostrom. Fitch opens up, takes a shot, and that's held off by Nuhu. Terzaghi with a rebound. Held off by Nuhu again. Scramble in front. It's in the back of the net as Richmond strikes first. Who else? Darwin Espinal gets the final touch to give Richmond the lead. This is a nice play here as Fitch looks for the lane. Nuhu got control, but Terzaghi, the experience to get it across and give someone a chance. Darwin Espinal was able to fight off his man. That was Coleman, that was Akoff, and Espinal. Coming off of a Player of the Month finalist campaign in March, lays out for his squad to give them the 1-0 lead.
Richmond goal scored in the 82nd minute.
So Espinal's goal is confirmed by way of the PA announcer and everyone in Omaha already lined up at center. In Omaha, they're just ready for Richmond to get back in position. Darwin Espinal, that is 2 goals and 2 assists across 5 matches for the 30-year-old from Honduras, coming out of University of Loyola Chicago. He scored in the last match against Forward Madison. That was a Goal of the Week finalist as well. And what a start to the USL League One campaign of Darwin Espinal. Fitch started that last possession that gave Espinal the goal. As that one goes right in front of Dominic Casciato's bench as more substitutions are ready to go.
Your attention, please. Substitutions for Omaha in the 84th minute. Entering the match is number 95, Kimmy Amish. Leaving the match is number 15, Jonathan.
So it's going to be Kimmy Amish coming into the match for Union Omaha, while we are going to see Jonathan Kanagwa replacing the goal scorer, Espinal. Jonathan Kanagwa, 23 years old, from Uganda. In his first pro season, he didn't play professionally last year, but spent the 4 seasons between 2020 and 2023 with VCU, where he was a 2010 Atlantic 10 regular season champion and a second team All A10 in his final season with VCU. And then you have Kimi Amish, 24 years old, from France, has spent the last little bit in the 4th division of the French soccer pyramid, as he comes into the match as well. Amish for Nap, Kanagwa for Espinal at the 85th minute. Attempting to streak.
Attention, please. Tonight's attendance at City Stadium.
Attempting to streak was Hayden Anderson, but he got tripped up before that one got clipped out of play for a Richmond throw.
Thank you, Richmond, for your support.
Stoppage towards Omaha's net as they have to rush things a little bit. Richmond has not scored the first goal of the match since the season opener against Tormenta. The only time they've done so, and resulted in the victory for the Kickers. And for Union Omaha, the only time they conceded first was in their 3-0 loss to Greenville, as Bill Hart continues to evade defenders, but a little too much so, as eventually the foul went. And Schneider was attempting the restart, but officials want to give the yellow card first.
A yellow card caution has been issued to Richmond number 3, Hayden Anderson.
Hayden Anderson will get booked. And that will be...
All right, Kickers fans, it's time to stand up for
That'll be only the second yellow card given against Richmond. As this one's deep, settled down for Bronick, wanted Gomez, but that one took a deflection. Wanted to go long for Terzaghi, it's held in by Anderson. Hayden Anderson, loads of space before he's cut off. And that will be a clip by Amish as he tumbles.
A yellow card caution has been issued to Richmond. Number 17, James Vaughn.
So James Vaughn will get booked. That's 2 bookings for Richmond in the last about minute and a half between Anderson and Vaughn. That's 3 for the Kickers in totality. Omaha has 1 for Bronick and 1 for Coleman. And for Union Omaha, they get their first home match in their next one in the Open Cup against San Antonio before going on the road to New Mexico in the Jägermeister Cup's opening match and on the road to Breese Stevens Field for Ford Madison. That's 7 of 8 as that one is straight towards Sneddon. Couldn't get Milanese free. So 7 of the opening 8 matches for Omaha are on the road. The only one that's at home is a home away from home, as they'll go to Caniglia Field in that Open Cup match versus San Antonio on the campus of University of Nebraska Omaha. And with all those matches on the road, the Parliament fans, I'm sure they might be giving Rathskeller Beer House a lot of profit in their Q3, in their Q2. A lengthy stoppage most likely coming as we approach the last 30 seconds of play in the regulation 90. Akoff starts to sprint up into the area, taken out by Fitch. Schneider didn't go for it. Kickers do. Billhart escapes Holt. Still in the feet of Billhart. But jumping in to disrupt is Amish. Out of play from Richmond. Omaha in hurry-up mode. As we are held up for a throw-in position issue. Akoff's a little too far ahead. And there are 8 minutes on the clock for stoppage, and now Akoff can step near the center stripe like he wanted the last couple times before he got sent backward. A chance for Omaha to draw level. All 3 of their goals in the regular season came in the 3-1 win versus Tormenta. Gomez got stood up. This one sent deep. Wanted Terzaghi, can't get it there. Ostrom. Ostrom shovels it deep. Can't find Fitch. Ostrom on the throw. Four-game homestand concludes here for Richmond before they take the trip to Florida against Naples. Simon Fitch starts the attack, wiggles past Milanese, Fitch to center. He's got Anderson, overshot him. And does Anderson save it off the line? He does not. And aside from the trip to Florida against the current top team of the table in Naples, Richmond have to make their way to Louisville against one of the most dominant teams in USL Championship in Louisville City for the opening round of the Jägermeister Cup. Lifted forward for Akoff, attempted feed to center. That went off of the sliding Maxi Schoenfeld, out of play for a corner. Akoff was working on Vaughn as Vaughn just landed awkwardly on that sliding attempt. But it's a chance for Amish to send the 4th corner of the game for Omaha. Right in front of a raucous River City Red Army. Amish towards the box, still up for grabs, and Sneddon's the one who does. And now Sneddon is a little bit shaken up after that. Amish had a nice feed. He's had that mishmash of bodies there, and oh yeah, you see Sneddon, he just absolutely ate it from Coleman. And then the side question comes for either side, really, is now that we saw Vaughn, who was laboring a little bit, Sneddon finally gets back up. Is this going to add to the 8 minutes of stoppage time that we've already seen? Sneddon will easily scoop it up. Sneddon goes full boot there off of Anderson. Omaha will take over halfway through stoppage. eFootball is here. Live your dream, rep your team, and play as your favorite USL Championship club. eFootball is free to play. Download now. Final 3 minutes as this one's chucked toward the box. Terzaghi looks for an escape, and he gets it. It's a foot race. Too much juice for Vaughn to catch up as Nuhu on a slight fadeaway pass for Milanese. Ostrom on the reception from Snyder. Ostrom's got Gomez. Gomez into the box, and Sneddon easily makes the grab. James Sneddon, 10 starts in his short USL career. 5 wins, 3 losses, and a pair of draws when number 35 takes the net for the Kickers. Averaging exactly 1 goal a game, and if he hangs on, that will dip below a goal against average. Especially for a guy who has developed so much, not just in terms of just growing into his body physically at only 19 years old, just overall just putting on some weight, but also just confidence, analysis of his game, working with one of the USL League One's longest tenured goaltenders in Pablo Jara as his backup. Kind of took the job from Jara later on the season, and a 3-way battle with Ryan Shello as well. And right now it's the room is just Jara and Sneddon, where the student, in a sense, has become his master. Nuhu deep. Gallardo away from Canagua. Milanese had to think quick with Vaughn all over him. Terzaghi takes a clip down, foul. Amish claimed that maybe Terzaghi maybe had a special lead in a certain way, but when we learn of Terzaghi, you can see that cast on his right hand from the hand injury from last year. He's a guy that takes a lot of contact and had some injuries with his rehab when coming back last year. Was Terzaghi finally back in form towards the latter portion of last year as he drew the foul, and Richmond will probably just do the possession game and try to milk as much of this clock as possible as it's sent towards Nuhu for a goal kick. When talking about last year's playoff game, Darren Sawaski said that it left a sour taste in our mouth. And to use his words, and I quote, piss us off a little bit. Potentially seconds away from making that sour taste a little bit sweeter. But they got to defend with Amish. Threads through. No foul. Play on, says the official. Schneider keeps it in play. Ostrom double teamed. Out of play, Omaha with the throw. Likely Omaha's final attempt before this game concludes. 2 balls in play. Ostrom heaves this one. Still in the box. Gallardo up for grabs. Canagua, Gallardo. Fitch lets this one roll out of play for Snedden's goal kick. And then you've got the 214s, Franca and Coleman, all over each other. 25-year-old Brazilian, 34-year-old Omaha native. As River City Red Army are ready. Snedden, the goal kick. Fans asking to blow the whistle. Header attempted towards Bronick. Kept in for Amish. Amish, service, blocked by Franca. Headed up by Schenfeld. And that is it. Redemption in Richmond as they seal the deal against Union Omaha with a 1-0 win at home in City Stadium. And a sour taste in the mouth might feel no sweeter than a 1-0 victory against the team that eliminated them from the playoffs a year ago. And Richmond, that puts them at 3-2 on the season. For Omaha, 1-2 to start 2025 after the lone goal from Darwin Espinal.
We would not have a business today if it weren't for the support of the many, many people within the Richmond community. To me, we're working as a team to enhance the quality of life for all residents.
It's about being the best that you can be. It's about enriching the lives of people in your community. There's a reason why we have the tagline Nourish, because it's really about nourishing the lives of the people that work for us and the people that we serve. That's what the UCrops brand stands for.
Health. Suddenly that word seems more important these days, as it's consumed all aspects of our lives and made our universes feel smaller than ever. But at Bon Secours, your health has always been our top priority, and we're staying as committed as always to personalizing the right care for you. Because whether here or from home, we believe your health care should always revolve around you. Bon Secours, primary care for the universe of you. Visit bonsecours.com/primary care to connect with the provider today.
We choose Impossible Pups because of their enrichment activities and the fun photos they send home every day.
We choose Impossible Pups because Kendall is excited when I drop her off and she's excited when I pick her up.
My favorite part about working at Impossible Pups is that the staff here feels like family.
It's seeing new dogs come in and build long-lasting confidence.
At Impossible Pups, your dog isn't just staying at a kennel. They're staying at their home away from home.
We return to City Stadium, where the River City Red Army are raucous after claiming a 1-0 victory against Union Omaha, last year's top seed in USL League One, before they go up against the current #1 seed in the standings, FC Naples. As we go through our play of the match, it all started with Simon Fitch and the retrieval from Emiliano Terzaghi to give Darwin Espinal his second goal as a Richmond kicker. Play of the match brought to you by Marriott. And then not only do we have a great showing from one end, but the other as well, as James Snedden is our man of the match, making so many great saves throughout this one. The man of the match brought to you by Las Abogadas RVA, stopping both shots on net that Omaha threw at him with a combined 9 shot attempts towards Snedden's net. He was able to hold on and hold strong for his first clean sheet since October of 2024. We take a look back at the action from this match in an absolute entanglement, to say the least. First big opportunity was Max Schneider, went off the crossbar off of Snedden's net. This was maybe the best opportunity that Omaha had to potentially score their first goal, and then Akoff had another one, as this one was a beautiful save by Sneddon off of Gomez, and the retrieval as well. Barnathan gave it a go from deep after taking a couple clips. Was Barnathan, the captain, trying to show the way, but it all broke through in the 82nd minute, where Simon Fitch and two of the best goal scorers on this kicker side, Emiliano Terzaghi, he looks like he's back to his 2022 three-time Golden Boot ways, with Darwin Espinal, newest additions of Get Redemption at home. For all of us and our entire crew here at City Stadium in Richmond, Virginia, my name is Ryan Lee. Thank you for joining us. Have a great rest of your night.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League cannot be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the express written consent of the United Soccer League.